is Rembrandt, and to say there's nothing wrong with you. There's something unique about you, like you just kind of defined that you were created specially and designed in a unique way that no one else can do what you can do.
And you own that. When you own that is when you begin to have a grounded foundation of phenomenality.
Yeah, I like that.
And you own that.
So tell us what inspired you to create your empowerment system.
For those of you who don't know, I have a 8S empowerment system called Phenomenally You. And it is actually geared towards college and college-bound young women. However, the 8S system goes beyond college, right? Pre and post. But this 8S system is focused specifically on college. And so I've been doing time, and so I had a empowerment seminar that we did, which was a summit. It was called Phenomenally You, 3 Candid Conversations for Mothers and Daughters in the Reality TV Era. So at that time, I had 3 S's. And the content was really about how mothers and daughters can have conversations when all of this media is kind of influencing them to kind of be a certain way. And the 3 S's were sex, self-respect, and success. So what does that mean today, specifically with this heavy influence of reality TV and media? And we've all been people who have always been influenced heavily by media, right? And so those 3 S's were the first S. And so we had that conversation with a celebrity panel. We had a celebrity conversation. It was really powerful. And then we had mothers and daughters really have that conversation within that summit. And it was really, really a rich experience. And so from there, the other S's came. I actually targeted college and college-bound girls because they are the leaders. They are the leaders that will run the Senate. They are the leaders who will become the principals. And so these are people who are going to school to be leaders. And I wanted to influence leaders to have a foundation of empowerment, because even though people can be accomplished academically, socially, and personally, things can be really dysfunctional. And so I wanted to provide young women with a framework, blueprint, to help them navigate their world with a lot more balance and a lot more peace and a lot more wellness, so that therefore they can function as leaders in more productive ways. So Phenomenally You was created.
That's great. What are some of the things you see are the biggest challenges? I know when I was working with young people, and you talk about college bound, oftentimes, and I remember talking to a couple of educators, it's like, why is it that we can't get young Black men and women, boys and girls, to be thinking about college? And I remember thinking that in the freshman orientation about college, there was very few African Americans in there. They didn't start thinking about college until it was senior year, and at that point, they hadn't built up a resume to get in. So how do you prepare young men and young women to think about college at an earlier age so that those high school years are productive?
And focus on college as opposed to just like just randomly finishing my high school years.
Right, exactly.
Because you just could randomly finish classes like, okay, yeah, I got an A. That's great. Like, what is that doing? Where is that going? So in the Phenomenally You 8S empowerment system, I talk about young women specifically understanding, well, what is the vision? What is the goal? So people say, well, who is the 8S system targeted towards? So I would say 9th grade all the way till sophomore year in college, because it basically prepares them socially and emotionally. And so I think that a lot of young people just don't have clear vision. Now, of course, vision changes, right? Because at the end of the day, that we're still growing. We all are still growing. And so one thing that we might have thought about when we were 15, we don't think about at 18, right? But I think it's important that our young people, our young women, are really allowed to have vision, encouraged to have vision, inspired to have vision. What do you see for your life? Early, right? And then that can change. But if you say, I want to be a lawyer, okay, you have some kind of visual representation of where a roadmap to where I want to go. Now, have the exact roadmap to where I ended up. But my point I'm making is that you have some visual representation of where you want to be. So I think that starts in the home, but it also starts in the community as well. Because if the community can't see our young people being a myriad of things, not just rap stars, not just, no shade, right? Not just rap stars, not just, you know what I mean, entertainers, you know what I mean? Even though entertainment it could be a great thing, but there's so many things that we have access to, so much talent and so much greatness we have within us that needs to be edified and brought out and celebrated. And so to answer that question in short, what I will say is that I believe our young people need to be encouraged and inspired to have vision. And I think that in having that vision, they can then begin to focus on, well, why am I taking this class in my junior year in college? Because it relates to the vision I have, which is I want to be a lawyer, or it relates to the vision I have, which is I want to be a doctor, or I want to be, a chemist, whatever that thing is. So I think that's the answer to that question.
So talking to the mom who may be in a poor neighborhood, who doesn't have that vision for their child, what do you say to that particular parent?
That's a great question. What do you want for your child? That's the first question I would ask. What do you want for your child? And I know that well because I was raised in North Philadelphia. And a lot of times, and people who don't know North Philadelphia is Jill Scott, that's Bill Cosby, that's Kevin Hart. So, these are inner city legendary girl's name, Jasmine Sullivan. Like, these are people, this is an atmosphere where, again, they stereotype you and keep you in a box and basically say you're only, there are literal statistics that will say people who grew up in this area will actually, this amount of people will be in jail. These people will be dead, and these girls will be pregnant before their ex-wife. There's stats, right, that will write you off. And so what I'm saying is that areas like North Philadelphia or areas that are low income or in poverty, it's about survival. So did I give you the food that you needed to eat? And that's what I'm worried about. Like, I don't really got time to think about those 15 years. What I have to think about is, did you eat today? Right. And so, so what I'm saying is that it's hard then for you to expand beyond that thinking, because it's about survival. And so what I have taught young women, I always say, it got to move beyond survival into thriving. You have to really understand that. It's not as easy though, because again, the reality is that it's 1 + 1 = 2. I'm dealing with the basics, not this pie in the sky, not this career that I don't have no resources for. I can't buy you the uniform for this. I can't get this for the equipment for that. I don't have the resources for that. So what I would say to that woman, that mother, is that you got to take time to have some kind of vision. And you got to know that there are resources out there that can support your daughter, your son, in pursuing some kind of vision. But the survival mentality leaves us in weird places because we haven't made a choice. We haven't focused on where it is we want to go. We haven't had a vision. So I think that survival mentality will set us up every time to get distracted because we don't really have anything that we're focusing on.
Right. So I like to give my audience action items, things they can do to make a difference. If you're a listener hearing this podcast and you're going, man, that's really tough. How can I come alongside young women and make a difference in their life? What things can people do to help?
And so the reason why I designed Phenomenally You, the 8S empowerment system, is because I wanted to give not only the girls a blueprint, but parents and mentors and all the above, a guide to help have conversations that will continue to edify, enrich, and phenomenalize these young women. And so what I would say is that the system was created for the girl, but it is definitely a system that supports parents and the mentors with conversation. So for instance, I said we talk about 8 S's, and we have the self-respect, we have smarts, we have social media, we have success. And so these S's can be pulled out at any point of the day. And you can say, Tanya, what was self-respect like for you today? Tanya, how would you define success this week? Right? Social media, were you conscious of what you posted online? Were you aware that somebody could have been videotaping your behavior and could have put something online? Are you aware of that? So, you know what I mean? Like these you pull out these S's to be able to empower young women to think critically about how they're navigating their world. So to answer your question directly, I would say if you have a passion for young people, if you are a parent of a young woman who is college or college bound, if you are a mentor of a young woman who is college or college bound, if you're an auntie, grandmother, you get the point. I would say the Phenomenal You AS Empowerment System that includes, ebooks and affirmations and worksheets and and a video series they could have conversation about, to invite the system into your world so that therefore you can have a blueprint to navigate a healthy conversation with these young women today. That's what I would say, is to bring that system into the world so they can really use these S's as a framework to help our young women to be phenomenal.
So where can they find this system at?
www.phenomenally-u.com.
All right.
And phenomenally is spelled PHENOMENALLY dash the letter U as in university.com.
Glad you spelled it. I'm not sure what website I would have set up to, but
phenomenally dash.
So what do you want your legacy to be?
I love that question. Being as though I've been doing this for a long time and I've impacted 3 generations now, I want people to remember that I gave content and empowerment and concepts that will afford people to move from mediocre to phenomenal. From I'm just here to I love being here. I'm just coasting to life is to be lived. Like people really feeling like there's the best of life. There's the best of living. And to not stay small in a box that they will continue to put on you, specifically our girls, specifically our young people, but to know that there is no box. And never let people think that they have the power to stuff you in that box, because you can just I love this Lauryn Hill song when she says, I get out of all your boxes. I get out. I don't know if you know that song. It's called I Get Out. Did I get out of all your boxes? You can't hold me in these chains.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I want that to be my legacy, is to get out of all the boxes they try to put on you, specifically our people.
Oh, man. So give us one more time your social media and your podcast.
Mm-hmm. No podcast, but we do have the social media for the Phenomenal You.
I thought you had a podcast you're working on. You should work on a podcast.
You want me to work on a podcast, Keith? Okay, awesome, Keith. That's a challenge. My website again is phenomenally-u. My Instagram is Lacey C Clark. My name LACEYCCLARK. Also have an Instagram for the Phenomenally You page, which is phenomenally-u2 on Instagram. But you can just go to my name, Lacey C Clark.
Well, great. Thank you for this conversation and blessings on what you do. May you continue to impact generations of girls from now on as they start thinking about being phenomenal.
Yes, thank you. Awesome, Keith. Right. I appreciate it. So great being here.
Pleasure.
Thanks for joining us this week on Becoming Bridge Builders. Make sure to visit our website, becomingbridgebuilders.buzzsprout.com. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Podcast so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, I would appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you simply tell a friend about the show, that will help us a great deal in getting the message out to bless more people. If you like this show, you might want similar content you can follow on my blog at alightbreaksthrough.org. Be sure to tune in every week for our next episode. Just remember, as Dr. King Jr. once said, let's build bridges, not walls.